Middle management is a high-stakes environment. You are constantly dealing with sudden systemic changes, pressing deadlines, and operating under high levels of constant uncertainty. Take Marcus, an IT manager. Last quarter, his software migration deadline was suddenly cut by 30%. His team immediately panicked. Marcus was staring down a paralyzed team and a high-profile failure that could damage his career. Under this kind of stress, managers often freeze. Marcus succeeded by applying a specific psychological framework. We are going to reverse engineer his exact steps so you can build your own growth action plan. Grab a pen or open a document. Write down one major, pressing challenge you are currently facing at work. We will use this as your baseline for the next few minutes. Preparing a concrete, written plan takes you out of a state of blind panic. It gives you a repeatable, strategic process to tackle the problem. Look at the challenge you just wrote down. Identify the immediate internal reaction your brain generates when you think about it. This image illustrates a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. Notice the padlock icon inside the light bulb on the left. This represents a fixed mindset persona, an internal voice that treats abilities as locked in place and predicts failure when threatened. Marcus had one of these voices. He called his persona Doomsday Dan. When the deadline shrank, Doomsday Dan immediately concluded that the team lacked the necessary talent and Marcus's career was finished. Explicitly write down the exact words your own internal voice is saying regarding your challenge. Then, go ahead and give that persona a name. Naming the persona separates your core identity from your fear. The fear is no longer an overwhelming truth. It becomes an external variable that you can manage. The objective is not to suppress or ignore your fearful persona. Instead, acknowledge it and invite it on the journey. Marcus actively reframed his narrative. When his persona said, "We are going to fail," Marcus replied, "This compressed timeline is a chance to test our agile processes." Watch how this works. A narrative based entirely on judgment is structurally dismantled and rebuilt into a narrative focused on learning and resilience. Take a moment to draft a direct, written response to your named persona. Reframe your specific challenge as a learning opportunity. This active reframing neutralizes your body's physiological threat response. It prevents fear from paralyzing your leadership decisions during critical moments. With the internal narrative shifted, transition to external team execution by defining effort-based goals. There is a common trap called the false growth mindset. True growth is not about demanding blind effort or telling people to try harder. It is strictly about implementing superior strategies. To build these strategies, we use a framework mapping a trigger event for when, an environment for where, and an action for how. For Marcus, when a coding roadblock hit, where was a 15-minute huddle, how was brainstorming new strategies. Now, define your own specific when, where, and how parameters for the challenge you wrote down. Mapping specific, effort-based goals converts vague leadership aspirations into actionable, measurable protocols that your team can actually execute. Mid-project setbacks are a reality. When they happen, you must be ready to apply growth mindset feedback in real time. Halfway through their timeline, Marcus's team failed a major testing phase. The standard leadership temptation here is to assign blame. This image displays how to structure feedback. Notice the contrast between the gray bubbles focusing on innate traits and the teal bubbles delivering strategy-focused praise. Marcus focused on strategy, protecting team psychological safety and allowing them to pivot. Write down one specific, strategy-focused phrase that you commit to using when your team encounters their next wall. A leader's immediate reaction to failure acts as a contagion. It directly dictates whether a team will defensively shut down or innovatively pivot. Marcus's team delivered their software migration early. They succeeded specifically because they focused on iterative strategy rather than the fear of looking incompetent. Review the physical document or screen where you have been writing. You have successfully built your own blueprint. You have identified your persona, shifted the narrative, mapped the strategy framework, and prepared a coaching script. Choose growth. Actively deploy this specific plan in your very next one-on-one or team meeting. A true growth mindset is an active, structured toolset. It turns the unpredictability of management into a competitive advantage.